did a podcast with Georgia Gray explaining the difference between conventional medicine and functional medicine and how to get to the root cause of what's going on in your body. It was a pleasure to be on Georgia's podcast. Why? Well, she's a certified holistic health coach who really got into nutrition after finding out that celiac disease was the underlying cause of her health issues. And now she's dedicated to empowering others on their health journeys. What could be more amazing than that? I am so excited to share this with you. So let's get started. Let's do it.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Whole Body Healing Podcast. I am so excited to have today's guest with us. So tell us a little bit more about your story, how you got started, and how that got you to where you are today.
Yeah, thanks for that opportunity. So I started off as a nurse, kind of typical med surg floor. That's just your kind of typical floor in the hospital. And then I moved on to trauma. So anything you think I've seen it and worse. And after that, I decided to go on to become a nurse practitioner. And my first job out of school was in a community health clinic for underserved population, which was great because it really made me a better clinician, because you don't have access to a lot of testing, right? When people are underinsured or uninsured, you can't just, order a million tests. So you have to become a better clinician. And then my experience there, I said, I think I could do this on my own as well. So I turned to my wife and said, what do you think about opening up a place? And I don't know why she didn't say no. Turns out she's as crazy as I am. And she's like, sure, that's a great idea. So we opened up EG Healthcare. And that's the first thing that you mentioned there, which is kind of when you think of EG Healthcare, think of your doctor's office. It's just run by NPs. And so we do adult, pediatric, kind of conventional medicine. There's a very important role for conventional medicine. It's really important if you're sick to get certain medications. However, as you know, and I'm sure your audience knows, there is a population that is not sick, but is not well. Mm-hmm. And there is no room for unwellness in conventional medicine. So in other words, you come in and you're like, hey, doc, NPPA, I'm just not feeling optimal. I'm feeling a little tired. I'm feeling a little blah. And they run the usual tests and everything's fine.
Yeah.
And they say, yeah, you're fine. See you next year. And I used to do the same thing. And I never realized how disempowering it is, because you're fine.
Right.
But the patient's like, but I'm not fine. And there's no malice. Your doctors are not mean people. They're very well educated. It's just the tool set that we have in conventional medicine looks for disease. And if there's no disease, then there's no treatment, and then there's no conversation. And also for those who already may be diagnosed, the answer is always medication, not because of big pharma. There's no big conspiracy theory. It's just because it's what we're taught, right? Yeah. There's an algorithm to it. And I always like to say that, because your docs are not bad people. And I do the same thing, right? If somebody has pneumonia, I'm going to give them antibiotics. But what about that subset of people who don't fall in that? And so that's, where the new method came in. I know I'm talking a lot, but I'm going to be quiet in a moment. Through a personal story, I'll share that with you in a moment, I realized I need to bring more to my patients. And so over time, I went back to school, started studying integrative medicine, functional medicine, got my PhD. And that's how I invented the new method. And now I'm going to take a pause.
I love that. And I really like your perspective on, conventional Western medicine too, because my belief is similar, where it doesn't have to be so black and white, where it's like, you don't have to only take more holistic approaches or go conventional route. I think there's room and space and beautiful things in both. And so how cool for you to, combine kind of the best of both worlds, if you will.
Yeah. And I appreciate that, because, so let's take example, somebody who's already on cholesterol medication or already on blood pressure medication. I think it would be inappropriate to say, hey, stop that.
Right.
Let's just take supplements. So the ideal situation would be implementing lifestyle change, slowly maybe, changing the parameters, lowering the cholesterol, getting that blood pressure down, then slowly titrating the patient off medication. So you need, because in that moment when that patient has hypertension and cholesterol, You take them off those meds in the name of being natural, you're running a risk, that they could die.
Right.
So I do think having your legs in both worlds with the goal of trying to do things with lifestyle as much as possible is the optimal way.
Absolutely. So can you break down for listeners the difference between conventional medicine, integrative medicine, functional medicine? Can you kind of share all that?
Yeah. So integrative medicine is exactly like what we just said, which is integrating both worlds together. So conventional medicine is it's what we call evidence-based practice, which is based on a lot of studies to see, hey, and given a set of, if somebody has high blood pressure and diabetes, they are more likely to have a cardiovascular event, right? This is what we call evidence-based practice. Mm-hmm. And there's algorithms. If this person is this age and has this kind of blood sugar, this kind of medication should be given. And then there's certain screenings, right? At age 50, we should do a colonoscopy. Age 40 is a mammogram. And so there's this prevention, there's diagnosis, and that's conventional medicine. Again, it's more about diagnosing and treatment. There is some conversation of prevention and screening, but it doesn't really look for the root cause. Why do I have hypertension, right? But why do I have diabetes? Why do I have that? So functional medicine really looks for the root cause. So why am I not feeling well? You're telling me everything's fine, but why are my joints aching? Why do I have an autoimmune issue? Why am I hypothyroid? So there's a lot more why, because if we get to the why, then we can make some lifestyle changes and, calm things down. I don't want to say cure things, because sometimes that's not possible, but calm things down. So let's give an example, blood work alone. When you go to primary care, they're going to do the basics. Your kidneys, your liver, your cholesterol, your diabetes, all good things, very important. Functional medicine is going to look at inflammatory markers. You're not going to look at inflammatory markers in primary care because you can't treat it. But in functional medicine, you want to see it. You say, hey, you're inflamed. Let's look at your diet, because if we bring down the inflammation, it may help your autoimmune flare up, right? But there's nothing to do. It's not tested for primary because there's nothing to do for it. Genetic markers. So I always like to look for what's called the Alzheimer's gene, APOE, because again, why would you do that in primary care? It's just going to frighten your patients, because what are you going to tell them? Great, you might have Alzheimer's. Functional medicine, you say, hey, it's in your genes, but guess what? If we make lifestyle changes, it doesn't have to get expressed. So it's different testing. Saliva testing, we do cortisol testing in my office for adrenal fatigue. Mm-hmm. Conventional medicine doesn't believe in adrenal fatigue.
I know.
It's on
so
or
wild.
It's off. It's so wild. It's either on or you're off, and both of them are in the ICU, but there's apparently nothing in the middle.
Right.
And functional medicine is of course there has to be something in the middle. And so even the concept of just testing saliva, you don't test saliva in conventional medicine.
Interesting.
The fluid of choice is always blood. And there's just kind of no conversation around saliva testing.
Huh.
Yeah. So the difference is philosophically getting to the root cause. The testing is different. And then the treatment is going to be more lifestyle, less pharmaceutical.
Cool. Thank you for breaking it down that way. That's really helpful. And a lot of that I haven't heard it framed that way. So I appreciate that. Gosh, I have so many questions. I'm trying to figure out where I want to go here.
Take your time. I'm ready. So I could talk about this all day.
I love it. I could too. I'm wondering, in your opinion, just in kind of that middle gray area of invisible illness and autoimmune, and what have you found? Why do you think people are so sick? Is this something that you think has kind of escalated recently, or is it now we're just bringing it more to the forefront with more, integrative medicine? What's kind of your opinion there of why this is all happening, if you will?
I definitely think it's our modern lifestyle. And I just want to be clear, I embrace the modern lifestyle. I'm not telling people to, give it all up and live in the forest. So, but we do need to be aware of what's happening. Okay? Yeah. So let's just start just with a standard American diet.
Yeah.
It just didn't exist. It didn't exist when our parents were growing up. certainly generation two, especially if you are a generation of coming from a different country, you definitely didn't have access to so much processed food, so much food. So that in itself, the amount of food that we eat and then the type of food that we eat is just, we don't recognize how toxic it is. And for a lot of my patients who come in, so let's backtrack this. You and I, prior to coming on the show, we mentioned the word inflammation. Inflammation is the core of it all. I just released a book on Tuesday. It's called It's Not in Your Head. And I'm sure we'll talk about it in a little bit, but basically it says that whatever you're feeling, whatever's happening, wherever you're on the spectrum, inflammation is the cause. So then you have to think about, okay, well, what causes inflammation? And the number one thing is going to be your diet. I know we'd like to blame it on everything else, and those things are there, right? We still do need to talk about mold, and we do need to talk about heavy metals, but let's first talk about the thing you're putting in your mouth all day long. Standard American diet is intense. It's processed, it's heavy in calories, it's heavy in carbs, and it is causing our bodies to work all the time. So I think, when we start there alone, before we even add all these other components, it's one of the main reasons we're seeing so much unwellness.
Yeah. Is there any, and this might vary over time for you, is there any kind of condition or consistent type of inflammation you're seeing the most of? For example, like, do you see tons of hypothyroid, or like, is there anything consistent there with your patients in this inflammation category that you're seeing?
Yeah. So for sure, thyroid, hypothyroidism is huge. And I think I'm hoping it's very clear at this point in our world, at least, that the gluten thyroid connection is just there. I know in primary care it doesn't exist. That's okay. But it's really there. So if you're suffering, please stop eating gluten. I just had to say it.
Please, I'm with you.
Sidebars. Even if you don't believe me, what do you have to lose? You got nothing to lose. I can't cause you any harm. So you didn't eat gluten. So what? Even if I'm crazy and it helped you, great. If it didn't help you, awesome. We have nothing to lose. That's a beautiful thing about functional holistic medicine. I can't hurt you. Eat more broccoli. What did I do? Right? Unlike conventional medicine, it's like, take this thing. It has 1,600 side effects. So, oh goodness. And then the other thing, sorry, sidetracked. So thyroid, but I have to say a large section of the patients come to me are female because they are very much dismissed in medical offices, who are just not feeling well and are constantly being told it's their hormones. Now, I'm not negating that hormones play a picture, of course, especially 45 to 65. I mean, hormones is at play. But it's really too easy that every time a woman in that age group comes to your office, you're like, yeah, it's just your hormones. What do you expect? Go home. Right? It's just too easy. In fact, I won't even look at hormones until we fix everything else, like until we fix the diet, fix the adrenals, get everything on point. Then if you still have symptoms, I'm willing to talk to you about hormones, but not as the first start. So I would say those two categories: women who are dismissed, who are just not feeling well, I don't feel good itis, or being told it's their hormones. And then hypothyroid, I would say, are like the two biggest that come our way.
I've said this on the podcast before, but I was like, if I had $1 for every client that has come to me because they've been dismissed, I'm like, I could just retire. I mean, I'd just be done.
Yeah, literally. That's why I entitled the book "It's Not in Your Head," because there's an insinuation there, right, that it's in your head, because they send you to all the specialists, and I'm glad that you go to specialists. It's important to rule out a pathology,
right?
And then you come back and you're like, but I still don't feel well. And I went to the neurologist, I went to the GI, I went to, I got everything done. Well, they're like, well, maybe you're just anxious about your health. Here's some anxiety meds. And I'm not against anxiety meds, but I don't think this is appropriate here. Maybe there's something else going on. So yeah, and that's, like you said, if I had $1 for every person that came in, who said that?
So who would you say, I guess if someone is really new to integrative medicine, like who would you say could benefit from it, and what are things to look out for when finding an integrative provider?
Such an amazing question. Everyone can benefit from it. So there's a kind of three categories of patients that I talk to. One is the patient, as I said earlier, who doesn't feel well, and everyone keeps telling he or she that they're fine. Two is the patient who's already on some sort of medication. They have a 2-3 diagnosis, and maybe they're seeing some specialists, but they want a different approach and maybe consider reducing or coming off medications. And then three is the patient who's like, you know what, I'm all right, but I would like to be optimized.
Mm-hmm.
So that pretty much covers the entire population. So everyone, right? What to watch out for? I think what to watch out for is kind of one size fits all. If every single person comes out of this place with a hormone cream or with the same supplements, or I think that's a red flag. People ask me all the time, what supplements do I take? I'm like, I have no idea. I don't know anything about you.
Yeah.
Right. Let me see some labs. Let's talk.
Right.
People ask me all the time, like, why don't you sell, like put packets together and sell things? I'm like, how could I? I don't even know what people need. So while we all kind of have our method, right? So I certainly run my patients through the same method. We have to ask the same questions. We do the same in labs. And there's a system, and that system is okay. And it's a one size fits all. But what the plan is for each patient has to be very unique.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that, and then I also think that so plan of treatment should be unique, but also if whatever the person thinks the cause is should be unique. In other words, so like, I'm sorry that I keep mentioning my book. It's just that this is what I talk about all the time.
No, I want to talk about it next too. So
okay.
keep it up.
It's just that in even in the book, I say, yes, there's mold testing. Yes, there's Lyme testing. Yes, there's food testing. Yes, there's stool testing, but don't go there first. Mm-hmm. Save that for if you can't get it done with lifestyle changes. Like first change your diet. Let's get the inflammation down. Let's get you sleeping. Consider intermittent fasting. See how you feel. If you feel amazing, you're done, finished. You don't need anyone, right?
Yeah.
If you did all that and then things are still not good, that's when you kind of go down the rabbit hole. So if you're going to someone, everyone's getting a mold test, why are we starting there? Right. So these are the things I would watch out for.
That's a great perspective. And I agree. I operate the same in my practice, where understandably people want food testing right away. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, let's just start by turning the heat down in your body. Like, and too, if we test you right now for food sensitivities, you're going to be off the charts for everything. Exactly. So let's just save your money, and you're probably not going to need it anyway. So let's just kind of lower the inflammation first. And I love that. That was kind of my next question too, of like, okay, if someone's curious of getting started, I'm hearing that it just sounds like just start with diet and lifestyle and then kind of go from there.
I know it's boring. Right? It's not sexy. It's not like, ooh, I have this crazy mold in my body. Like, I know we all want the thing.
Right.
Because if there is a thing, right? Because remember, conventional medicine got us thinking that there's a thing that we can treat. And if you're really someone who wants to think outside of that box, don't bring that mentality into functional or holistic medicine. Where is the thing?
Right?
The people are doing like, there is no magic pill, but there's also no magic supplements.
Yeah.
So there is no the thing. It is a myriad of things all in lifestyle that you have to do all of that first. Mm-hmm. And very rarely is it just the one thing. Because even somebody with mold or even someone with Lyme, if they're resilient enough, if their immune system is strong enough, if they're not inflamed, they are less likely to have all those negative things, right? So it and so many people with Lyme are fine, and then you have the one person with Lyme who's not fine. So it's really about making sure the host, the person, the immune system is strong enough. So that's where we have to start.
Absolutely, yeah. That's my approach too with Lyme, where it's like, and I'm sure you would agree, where our wellness is just this huge jigsaw puzzle, right? Where functional medicine's a piece, nutrition's a piece, and as much and as easier as it would be if like we could just do the nutrition and that would solve it all, we kind of have to put all the pieces of the puzzle together. And get your body in fighting shape, because it's on your side to fight fight it off if there is Lyme in your body. And
Mm-hmm.
so, yeah, totally with you, getting your immune system strong. So let's switch gears and let's hear a little bit more about your book and what started that inspiration. And congratulations, it was published on Tuesday, and tell us more about that.
Thank you. And I can't believe it, but we made it to #1 on Amazon that day.
Oh my
it was
gosh.
it was pretty exciting stuff.
Whoa, that's huge.
Yeah.
Congrats.
It's so funny because I was so focused on getting it published. And now that it's published, I'm like, oh my God, people are actually reading it. So
I just don't know that feeling when people are like, oh, I love your podcast. I'm like, oh, someone's listening. Okay. Yeah.
Someone's listening. Yeah, exactly. Like you're so focused on making sure you get the guests and the microphone's working. And like, what? Someone's listening?
Totally.
People are sending me pictures and highlighted. And I'm like, oh my God, this is insane.
Oh my gosh, amazing.
Yeah. Thank you. So I wanted to make what I am known for, honestly, if you ask my patients, is just breaking it down and speaking with this. I also curse a lot when I talk to my patients.
Love it.
I'm not going to talk to you in multi-syllabic words. Even that word was too big. So I wanted to create a book that was accessible like that too, because exactly what you asked me, where do I start? Mm-hmm. You know, I'm on TikTok. People are coming to me from all parts of the country. Where do I go? What do I start? So there's some things you could do. And the book really says, do these things. And when you feel great, hand the book to someone else. Like you're done with it.
Yeah.
So of course, I'll tell a little bit about my personal story, how I got there. And then we talk about inflammation. I explain inflammation. I give like a general overview of the type of diet that I recommend. I don't go into too much detail because again, you want to customize it, but there are some major players that we should remove. Mm-hmm. Sleep, super important. We have to get 7 to 8 hours sleep. I talk about intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting is a game changer for inflammation.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know, so implement this. And I also give a list of the lab work that I like to see. So in case they're able to get it. So, and I talk about adrenal fatigue, explaining the 3 levels of adrenal fatigue and why, you know, what you might feel. And then I say, here's the rest of the stuff, right? So like I said, the mold, the stool, the Lyme, this is like chapter 11 and 12. You really don't have to get here. Like if you're good, don't even read past this chapter. You're fine. Like there's no need to explore all this. Salud.
Excuse me.
God bless. God bless. God bless. And that's it, you know, so it really just gives you some basic steps you can implement without spending any money, without doing any tests, and just starting to feel better. And I really wanted to make it like a kind of a funnel to know where to go first. Because people come in, like you said, do the food testing, do this. And you're like, whoa, we don't need any of that. Yeah. Always go to your primary care first. So if you're tired, please don't diagnose yourself with adrenal fatigue. Always go to primary first. Make sure you're not sick. Then if you tell it everything's fine, great, perfect. Now you know it's time to go holistic.
Right.
And you're safely going to holistic, and then you take it from there. So that's a whole book. You don't have to read it anymore.
That's awesome. Yeah. And tell us again what the book's called and where people can buy it.
So it's called It's Not in Your Head.
Okay.
And that's what I say on all my podcasts, on my live. It's not in your head. And it's by me, Dr. Efrat Lamandre. And it's on Amazon. So I'm sure, I don't know if you put in It's Not in Your Head, I don't think there's a lot of things that come up with It's Not in Your Head. So you'll be able to find it.
That's such a perfect title. Amazing. I can't wait I'll have to check that out and read that myself. And that's huge for you as a provider and a business owner. So congratulations.
Thanks. It's been an interesting ride.
That's awesome. So kind of on that note of business, and we mentioned at the start of the show how you do some public speaking. You have kind of this, I don't know, theory, idea of the health of your business starts with you. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that means? Since on this pod, we also talk business building and entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. So I think there's a few prongs to that. First and foremost, you can't run yourself down, right? You have to walk the walk. So, right. I'm sure you do this as well. So people look to you like people will comment if I have bags under my eyes, like, did you not sleep? And I'm like, I slept. I promise. I got my 7 hours in, right? but you can't possibly give from an empty cup, right?
Yeah.
You can't pour from an empty cup. So you have to make sure, I always think about that airplane thing. The oxygen comes down, put it on you first before your child. Seems counterintuitive, but it's the same thing. You have to make sure that I try to make sure I take my supplements, make sure I get my exercise in. I schedule my day after my morning routine. I make sure I do my prayers and meditation in the morning. I get the supplements and I get the water in, because if I am at the helm, if I'm not healthy, if I'm running myself to the edge, there is no way that I'm going to function optimally. Mm-hmm. So that's the first part. And I want to empower, especially women, that taking time for yourself is not selfish. Okay. Self-care is not selfish. You need to do it. And it's in fact the secret to your success. Mm-hmm. If you're exhausted, you're not going to be a good leader. You're going to be irritable, and everything that comes, you're not going to make good decisions. So please take care of yourself first. So there's that piece of it. But the other piece of it is, just like we get to the root cause of things in your health, right? We do the blood work and we kind of look at things differently and out of the box thinking. I feel like you have to do that in your business every so often, especially if you're growing. Right? When I first started, it was just me, and then me and one assistant. There's not much to, but now, we're big. We have like 20 employees here. We have a few people who work from home. We have some international employees. So every once in a while, you have to do that same kind of diagnostic testing. Like, hey, what's going on? What's happening? Different culture when there's 2 people, different culture when there's 20 people. And you have to kind of take a moment and put your whole business through a health check every so often, and do those steps. And if that means, like back to basics, I have to drink my water, and back to basics, I have to, maybe have more frequent meetings with the staff, things that maybe you felt you grew out of. Sometimes going back to basics is really important. So it's concrete in the sense of literally it begins with you, but it's also metaphoric, and literally the same process that you're putting towards your health, you should put towards your business.
I'm with you. And I think I've definitely learned that the hard way of that, it was about, a year ago, I had such a wake up call where I was just so stressed, so overcaffeinated. My hair was falling out. I'm up at 6 a.m. working out. I'm grinding in my office all day. I'm not taking breaks. And as you know, it's your body keeps score and it lets you know. And it was, again, that wake up call of like, okay, you can't be telling people to slow down and take care of themselves when like you literally have your hair falling out. It's time to chill.
Yes, exactly.
And 2, it's like, never have I ever gotten more clients or success from just grinding at my desk. It's like, I get influx of people when I go on vacation, and I get creative ideas when I go and take a hike. And, so I love that you, prioritize that. And especially for, female entrepreneurs, I think it's so important.
Female entrepreneurs is so important. Yes. Mm-hmm. Putting yourself first. We're taught not to do that all the time.
Absolutely. And it's hard because it's like your business is your baby to a certain extent, and you've worked so hard and you don't want to mess it up, but working harder isn't going to solve it.
It's not. It takes you to a certain point. Of course, we're not talking about, you can't just have the vision and not do the work.
Absolutely.
So, and that's the fine line. Cause sometimes when I'm coming up and people say that, you're like, well, no, you need to work hard. Right. Cause but we don't mean not working, getting it done. We just mean don't kill yourself.
Right.
I do want to say something else about business in general. What I discovered with the business is that I came into it worried about the patients, with a certain thing in mind. And what really blindsided me in a good way is that I have the opportunity to use the business as a platform to help the team that works for me. And that's something I never envisioned. Cool. So as the business grew, we're able to offer microloans because we hire, we're women owned, women run. Mm-hmm. A lot of the women here are single moms. A lot of the women here we're second chance employers. So even if you came out of jail, rehab, whatever, if you're ready for the second chance, we're ready to give you the second chance. In fact, I have to say some of my top employers are people who had significant past and came through it, because who's stronger than you if you came through it? There's nobody stronger than you. So
Yeah.
don't be embarrassed, like own it, because if you came through that, you're the best team member ever. So we're able to create that platform. So sometimes microloans, sometimes as simple as, hey, I need to bring my kid into work because daycare decided to close. That's the thing. Like, you can't just close daycare. Moms have to work. You're like, yeah, come on, bring them in, because we're all moms, and so we'll help you out. And it's been amazing to suddenly have a platform and watch these young women that work with us flourish because the company can do that for them. And that is something that I never thought possible. Like, not that I'd never even considered it as an option. So it's been a blessing as well. So whatever you are doing, I'm sure you all are, because women entrepreneurs do this naturally, but I want to empower you to keep doing it because it's amazing.
That is so beautiful. That gives me just full body chills hearing about that.
Yeah, it gives me chills also sometimes when I look at this team. It's
so cool.
amazing.
And I'm so with you too, where just, again, encouraging women to get into that business space of, if you have an idea, run with it, and people need you. And when your light is bright, like, you can be generous and you can employ people. And so it's, again, I think sometimes the block that can happen is like, oh, who am I? Or am I being selfish? Or am I being greedy? And it's like, no, you can do what you're doing and help more people when you are taking care of yourself and successful as well.
Absolutely. The world of ethical entrepreneurism, I didn't invent this term, but we're kind of in some conversation that's like, oh, if you're trying to make money, if you're being an entrepreneur, you're this greedy, horrible person. No, there's a whole world of ethical entrepreneurs that want to make sure that their team is well paid, that want to make sure their team has a good work-life balance, that wants to make sure that their mission of their job is in line with their ethics. So it is possible to have all of your ethics in line and still run a business. It's an extension of you. It's an extension of your philosophy. It's going to look exactly like who you are.
Absolutely. And you mentioned a little bit of your kind of morning routine. Is there anything in particular that really helps you stay grounded and, balanced with having, a business and employees and doing all the things you're doing?
So two things. I have to say, I've been exercising now every morning before work for like over a decade. And when I say that, I mean, I literally won't schedule anything until after exercise. And that doesn't mean I wake up at 4 a.m. It means I don't start until 9 or 10.
Yeah.
It's important for me to have that time. It's also important for me to have coffee with my wife in the morning. Of course, there might be like an extenuating situation where you skip it. But as a rule, you're in charge of your own schedule when you have your own business. Yeah. So it's going to be fine if you start at 9 or at 10. You don't have to start at 7. Or something like that. If your business really is a 7 a.m., like if you own a bagel shop, then it's okay to finish early. Like, make the schedule that works for your life. But most recently, I started doing this. Took me a long time, and to start implementing. And that's prayers / meditation. And I'm purposely sharing that it took me a long time, because I think a lot of people have a hard time praying, meditating, whatever works for them, because it just feels unreachable.
Yeah.
It feels like there's a way to do it. And if it's not done for like an hour and you don't reach Zen and your third eye doesn't open, then you're doing it wrong. So none of that is true. Okay. So it doesn't, and then you'll see on Instagram where it's always the sun is shining and it's just beautiful. Yeah. And none of that is happening. Okay. So I take like 5 to 7 minutes. It's never beautiful. Like, my cats are like jumping on me. It's messy. I hear my son making coffee. It's all fine. It's all fine. But what I do, because I need structure, is I go top down, like from head down. I'm grateful. And then I give gratitude for each body part, physically and metaphorically. Like, I'm so thankful for my brain that it's working, but I'm also thankful for the ideas that come from it. Right. So, and then I go down like that, and it gives me structure. And then just take a moment to download whatever the universe gives me. And then I'm done. I have no mantras. I don't put music on. I don't have incense going. God bless you if you do all that. But it doesn't have to be complicated. Yeah. Literally in my bedroom, on the floor. I don't have a separate room for it. and then you're good. Oh, and then I also set an intention. And my intention for now has always been to lead with kindness. It doesn't have to be new intention every day. it just could be simple. I just want to empower your listeners to know it doesn't have to be this like beautiful sunrise situation.
Right. That's awesome. How cool. I love, yeah, that is so cool. And I'm with you where, yeah, it can be even like 3 breaths and yeah, you don't have to go sit on your cushion with your mala beads for an hour. Like it can be super simple.
You said it. I missed the mala beads.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, again, don't get me wrong. I love my incense, but I'm with you.
No, it's great. She could do it. Great.
Well, those mornings too, where you're like, oh my gosh, I got to get my inbox going. I'm stressed. It's like, that's when you need that 5 minutes. The most is when you don't have time. So I'm glad that you mentioned that piece and especially the gratitude piece too. Like I've been trying to work on that myself too, because I think for better or worse with entrepreneurship, you're constantly kind of like, okay, next thing, like I wrote the book, next thing, or like, okay, I got this many clients, next thing. And so lately I've just been trying to be like, you've set goals and you've done it. So now just chill and feel that gratitude. And yeah, so I'm glad that you brought that up too.
Yes. Because also as women, we're not allowed to congratulate ourselves ever. We're never allowed to say, hey, great job, self. Good job. You did that. Like we're not allowed to say that. So entrepreneur and as women, we never get to congratulate. You have to take a moment and do this. 2 seconds. I'm not saying you have to throw a party. Just 2 seconds mental, be like, oh my God, I set out to do what I said I was going to do and I did it.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm ready to do the thing. But just take a minute. It's okay.
Yeah.
I tell my patients this all the time. Because like, well, I didn't lose 10 pounds. I only lost 5 pounds. I'm like, amazing. You lost 5 pounds. Congratulations. Right. Like what?
Right. It's so true. We're all so hard on ourselves.
It's crazy.
So if someone wants to work with you, do you only accept people in state? Do you work with people around? How can you tell us a little bit more about what that looks like to work with you?
Absolutely. So first of all, to find me, it's called The New Method, but new is spelled with a K because you always knew there's a better way. So The New Method, thanks.
Love that.
Thank you. I didn't invent it, but I do like it. I can't take credit. My team invented it. So thenewmethod.com on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, website, anywhere. It's all spelled the same. And I work throughout the country. So in New York and New Jersey, I'm licensed as a nurse practitioner. So that means I could also order your labs, order your medications. And outside of New York, New Jersey, what we offer is coaching. And my coaches are all work directly with me. So I just can't practice medicine in those states, but the lifestyle and the coaching and the guidance that you need, you don't. And then I can suggest to you what you can get prescribed. Mm-hmm. So the answer is we work all over the country.
Awesome. And I'll put your website and Instagram and all of that in the show notes too. But that's great. And I think that kind of speaks to what you were saying earlier, where with your coaching that you're doing across the country, it's like, yeah, people might not need those things right away. And I'm sure you get so much done with people all over.
Yeah, it's really been a blessing. That's a beautiful thing about the internet. And, thank you for doing a podcast like this, getting the word out, because that's what it's about, access, right? You're sitting at home, you don't know where to go. And podcasts like yours really make a difference. So I applaud you for doing it.
Oh, thank you. I've loved having you on. And I think just your balanced approach and is amazing, and humor and just lightness. And I see how you lead with kindness. I love that too. That's so wonderful. And so, I can't thank you enough. And again, all of Dr. E's stuff is in the show notes. So definitely check her out. And thanks again for your time today.
Thank you for your time.